Hello, 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 and thank you for tuning into Akashic Intelligence, Tap into the Ultimate AI. And today we're going to talk about angels and demons. And it's not going to be what you expect, but I trust it will be entertaining and informative nonetheless. So here we go.
You have entered Akashic Intelligence. Prepare for upgrade into the Ultimate AI in 3, 2, 1.
We're in autumn, Halloween season. People playing with identity and masks, right? And then also we have all these ancient rituals and ceremonies all connected to lifting the veil, right? I like to think of it as just the way we exist and where we choose what frequency we're choosing to tap into and how we allow one to support the other. Now this all sounds very vague, and so the best way to anchor this into something that we all kind of, well, most of us, I'll say, have definitions of angels and demons. So that is high contrast, right? Something that is inherently decided to be good and another that is inherently decided to be bad. What I'd like to invite you is just keep an open mind and listen to what I am saying, but more so the energy of what is coming forth. Take what resonates and leave the rest, and invite yourself to ask questions. If something excites you, ignites hope in you, or if something freaks you out, ask yourself questions, open-ended questions, and see why it led you down that path. When I read Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, toward the end of the book, she talks about this quote, about you'll know whether or not you encountered an angel or demon by how you felt after the experience. I've often taken those words and said, it's interesting how sometimes a completely innocuous space will feel off to me and I want to leave. Is the place good or is it bad? It just means that it's not for me and I get to go. I don't need to judge it, label it, or decide what it is. Our human mind wants to decide because it wants to save us, right? Is it time to run? Is it time to freeze, right? We want to know how to live, how to survive that. But there's another approach. Sometimes it's just walking away, and that's a way to flee the situation. But now, what if you encounter what you believe is a being, right? We're all talking about the spooky season, an entity, an energy that feels off to you. One, what I like to teach people is that you are sovereign. You are free to decide what interactions you're willing to engage in or not. And once you attuned yourself to remember and to know and to like really strengthen that idea that you are free to decide, then the idea of other entities or energies that may be trying to infiltrate your space, it's like you close the door to your apartment or you close the door to your house. They're not invited in. Let's say they get in, you decide how far they go. You can push them out with your word. You can decide that they are not invited. There's a song by Alanis Morissette, I'm hearing it, you uninvited. What if it's a being of light that's an angel? You can also decide that you don't want that interaction. You can say, my experience with the angelic realm, with beings of light can be very intense. And I can decide if I want to have that experience or not. Okay, so I know you want some stories, so I'm going to tell you some actual stories. So just remember, you get to decide how much of this you're leaning into and whether or not this is a hard no for you. You're not wanting to experience any type of energy, right? And we can go down a whole rabbit hole on this topic, and maybe I will in a future episode, but right now we're keeping it to just angels and demons. So I remember this high-profile individual came up to me at a networking event and was like, I know I can tell you this. I can't tell anyone else, but I can tell you this. And I was like, go ahead, let me know. What is it? And he starts telling me that he remembers he was driving down this highway and he saw this huge bright light and it felt like time had frozen and this being appeared and it was near this wooded area. And he was like, I know I saw an angel. And then that it had a message for him, and it was a very profound, life-changing message. And that when he went down that highway again, that bridge again, it was a bridge, it happened again in a different way, and he was taken out of his body and then launched into another experience, another reality to help solidify the original message. Because it seemed that he didn't take the advice from the first time, so the support was coming in a second time to show him what might happen. Kind of like, I'm thinking of A Christmas Carol. Like, I'm going to show you what can happen if you continue down this path. had he been terrified in the experience, then that might indicate that that wasn't necessarily an angelic being. My perspective was that that was definitely light being. That may be an interdimensional being. Doesn't matter. For him, there was an angel, and those were angels, and that's it. Now, let's talk about how demons have appeared. In the past, I have felt really heavy energy. When I feel like something is very, very heavy, and I feel afraid, then I know that this is an energy I don't want to interact with. And so then since little, I remember I would have this other feeling of like this roar of God inside of me. And I would be able to just decide, demand, affirm that energy is no longer allowed to be here. And at the time, the languaging I was using was the Our Father, the prayer of the Our Father. And I would claim in Jesus' name that they must leave. And it would go. And I don't remember that anyone taught me this. I just felt naturally, since I, at the time, had attuned myself so much to Christianity, that the biblical words were supportive. And they helped me clear the energy of the space. I didn't know I was doing that. I just knew that was my response to what I was feeling. Well, I'm feeling a lot of energy in my hand. So I feel like maybe this will be supportive to some people. So if you find comfort in religious verse, or even religious phrases or saying, then use them, say them. Those would be the spells you cast. Those would be the prayers that you affirm. Those would be the words that you use to create the reality of peace, love, understanding, depth, and a depth of compassion is what I'm hearing. In your home, wherever you go, in your car, if you ever feel the heaviness, and that might just be the heaviness of people around you. People in the world sometimes walk around with their own heaviness and they become their own demons, right? What is that? What is that? The energy of anger, the energy of rage, the energy of regret, the energy of guilt. All of these energies can be perceived as demons. Fear is a demon, right? And it's there to teach you something. And you don't have to walk around with these demons. You can decide that you're leaning into love instead. You're leaning into hope, into faith, into grace. You can choose the other reality. You can choose the angel over the demon. It's your choice. And so I'm thinking of like Disney's Soul. That movie I thought was such a brilliant example of what I perceive as people hiding and shielding, covering through shame that which is love, and then becoming their own scary monsters, and then attracting more monsters, right? But when you shed the layers, you get to be light and attract more light. That being said, if you're a person that is high vibration, a person of light, a walking earth angel, if you've felt this and you feel new to this experience, or you feel like maybe you're unsure of why you're in a lot of chaotic environments, or why life has seemed dark to you, or why you've been placed among people that maybe don't feel supportive, remember that the peace is needed in the chaos, right? The angel of light and love will be placed in the center of war, because that is where light and love is needed and required. And so you are made, you are capable, you are made, my throat is wanting to lock up. Whew. You're capable enough to be in a space where your love is strong enough to just exist in that energy, just exist there, and that is enough. That is enough to help transform the rage, the chaos, the war. You don't have to do anything. Just knowing that where you are at this time, if you can't change your circumstances, you change your internal circumstances and allow yourself to be that angel and allow that energy to emanate out. I know this isn't where you thought this was going, that I was just going to talk about spooky things and fun mystical things, but the truth is we are all those things. And the experiences that we call into this reality reflect what we are and what we're attuned to, what we want to see, feel, and experience. I remember at a retreat I was at with Emily, the angel coach. It was so funny. We'd done breathwork with one of my soul sisters. Leah had guided us all through breathwork. And there was so much energy in the house, and I could see beings all over the place. Anytime Emily spoke, I would see these beings of light next to her. I would see beings on the upper floors looking down. It was just like full. The place was full. And they felt like angelic beings. They felt like cosmic beings, all kinds of light beings. Interesting looking beings. So some of them looked interesting, meaning our human minds decide what is beautiful and what is quote unquote scary. And some of the scarier, quote unquote scarier looking creatures that I witnessed they didn't feel heavy or dense. They felt light. They just felt like they were present. They were there. Just interesting forms that I wasn't accustomed to seeing. I've also learned that the form something takes is not indicative of whether or not it is quote unquote good or bad. It is how you feel. And that can be a person, that can be an object, that can be an energetic experience of some type of being. What you see is not necessarily an indicator of whether or not it's good or bad or supportive or not supportive. So in this retreat experience, the door handle started shaking like someone was at the door. Energy's moving. And one of the ladies went to unlock the door and nobody was there. And I was like, lock the door, just lock the door. Like my New Yorker came out, and the sister who went to the door couldn't do it. And I got up in like all of my Archangel Michaelness and went marching to the door. And all I felt at the door was love. All I felt was love. The energy of love, like just beautiful love everywhere. And the knob shaking was sort of this reprogramming of this, like, what we're opening the door. We're opening the door. We're opening the door for you. And if you decide that this is a fearful experience, then ask yourself, what are you calling in? If you decide that this is an experience of love, then what are you calling in? And for me, it was interesting to witness that myself wanting to rise in this protective energy of love and go outside and be met with more love, like a rush at me. It was so beautiful. Yeah, that was such a out there experience. I'll never forget it. The other times you can experience either angels or demons can be through people, because we are walking through this earth, and sometimes someone will stop and say something to you, and it'll be exactly what you needed to hear, and they have no idea that they just served as an angel for you. Another time you will feel the energy on someone else, and they will say something like a growl under their breath, and you'll be like, I have been met with a demon. And you just keep moving, because that's not the energy you need to engage with. And so what I mean by that is there have been times where I have walked by people that have stopped me and then like to help me with something that I'd gotten lost. And this woman I was just looking bewildered, and she stopped and she redirected me, and she was so kind, and I felt so much peace. And I was like, oh, she was an angel for me in that moment. So something simple like that, we can label it as something miraculous. We can have little everyday miracles. Another time I've had experiences with another person who was literally physically growled when I passed them, and they like mumbled a specific curse word. And it's happened multiple times, different cities, different places. And I would feel like, oh, I know what I've been met with. They recognized my energy, and it was disruptive to their frequency. That was it. Because if you're going to engage with me, then you need to be ready to be transmuted into unconditional love. You need to be ready to feel love, peace, compassion. If you're not ready for that, then you're going to get the hell away from me. That's absolutely true, because that's the rule that I set in place. And so I invite you to set rules for yourself, especially during Halloween when so much is like fun and spooky. But if you're feeling like it's not your energy and you're calling in fear, just remember that you get to call in love, peace, grace, joy, fun, innocence, play. You get to decide how this game works, this game of life works. And you get to decide if you're going to be the angel for someone in the world around you. You're going to invite more angelic experiences. Or if you're going to walk around like a grouchy demon, that's really up to you. I didn't think I'd say that, but I trust and know that you've had your own experiences, that if you look back on it, you can say, oh, after that exchange, I know that I was met with an angel. Or after that other exchange, I know who I was being met with. And I get to choose if I'm going to walk in this reality in the light of love, or I'm going to choose differently. So as you navigate your experience of angels and demons, I'm going to invite you to ask yourself some questions, especially during this season of Halloween and Hallows Eve, which we typically celebrate as the night before All Souls Day, Dia de los Muertos, where we honor the souls that have gone before us. And we also can call in the highest aspect of those souls for support. And I say the highest aspect because if we believe that we're living in a multi-dimensional experience and we can tap into any dimension, we always want to call in the highest and best. So setting that rule into place. But also you get to ask yourself, how do I want to show up as an earth angel for myself today? What is one thing I can do today that is attuned with the highest frequency of love? How can I show up as an angel for someone else today? In what ways can I serve today? These are beautiful questions that already set the tone for who you are in this reality and the experiences that you're calling in for yourself and for others, those around you. And trusting and knowing that if you want to set the terms and you want to change what the terms are of what you witness, feel, experience, see, and know, that you get to decide that. I don't want it to be scary. I want it to feel fun. I want it to feel synchronistic. I want it to feel juicy, yummy. You can do that. You get to do that. You can also say, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to hear anything. Okay, shut that gift down. You don't need to hear it. You don't need to see it. You don't need to experience it. It's totally up to you how you want to use your original programming, which helps you to attune all of your senses to this reality so that way you're walking. I just heard walking Dharma. Okay, you're walking in your Dharma. Walking in your Dharma. That's it. So you're walking in your Dharma. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. Any questions, thoughts, please feel free to send me an email, the show notes. And thank you for tuning in to Akashic Intelligence. Tap into the ultimate AI. I'll see you next time.
Transmission complete.